Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I'm so excited to have with me today Roma. We actually got connected on Yes Clubhouse again. So I'm so excited to get into some great conversation. But before we do that, I want to give Roma the opportunity to introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roma. I live in Canada, in British Columbia, and I am a life and weight loss coach. I help women every day in my practice, just trying to telling them to be authentic and be their true self and create the life they want.
Awesome. I love that. And so, we got connected on Clubhouse. So talk to me about how Clubhouse has really helped you with your business. Because so many people are like, what's Clubhouse still? We've got Android users on there now, but explain to us how it has impacted you.
Just personally, I connect with a lot of people on Clubhouse, and I love it because I love meeting new people, getting to know who they are, their professions, their personal background, their culture. So it's a really interesting. I love meeting people. So yeah, it has really helped me connect with different people with different backgrounds, and maybe connect with people who know someone might need help, and they can connect me to them. So it's been really helpful.
That is awesome. So, talk to us about how you got into your field with being a coach. I think right now, so many people are trying to navigate through this pandemic, change of business industry. So many things are being changed, from working outside the home, working in the home, kids at home, doing school. So, what was it that really prompted you to do coaching?
That's a really good question. I personally just struggled with relationships. When I was growing up, I really struggled with keeping like good friendships and just kind of like not knowing how to manage my relationships and just to be able to make my own decisions as an adult. So I started seeing a therapist because I thought that I needed therapy. And then therapy has its own time and place. It wasn't for me. And I was introduced by a friend to life coaching. And when I started seeing a coach, I've always wanted to work in mental health area and help people and serve people. So it was just came in my life at a perfect time when I was needing it. And it was so awesome because I started seeing amazing results in my life using the coaching tools. So I decided to just go to the life coach school, Brook Castillo in the US. And I got certified from there. It's so amazing. The thought work they taught me and the power they showed me, the control and power I have over my thoughts and my emotions and over my life. It really helped me. So my relationships are so much better now just because I learned how much power I had and over my thoughts. And yeah, it's been amazing. So that's how I started my journey.
That is so awesome. And so, and I love how, it's really like a self-development journey, and
That's
it's
right.
really just showing people how you did it and they kind of follow their own path as well. So, talk to us about the difference between therapy and coaching, because I think a lot of people, especially now when we have a lot of people that are trying to navigate through this new crazy normal or whatever it is right now. Is it going to go back? Is it going to hybrid into something else? So people are kind of having a challenge with getting their footing. So when would you recommend somebody going to a therapist as opposed to a coach? What do you think the difference is?
Yeah, just like from my personal experience, what I've seen and what I've experienced, I think like life coaches help people at a functional level more so like when person is already at a functional level, and when you feel that you are not at a functional level, that's when you need the therapy. So people like going through trauma-based issues and through violence and things like that will definitely be suggested to a therapist so the therapist can work on their trauma and things like that. I think coaching on this, on the other side, coaching is more like present and future focused. So not focusing on the past. As a coach, I don't focus on the past because I think past isn't past. Today, you live in the present and you are looking in the future. So I think that's the main difference. And there are a lot of clients that I see in my coaching sessions sometimes need to see a therapist And
Mm,
some of my clients see therapists and coaches both at the same time and see the benefit of it.
I
So
love
it
that.
really depends on what you're going through. But I personally think that when you're at the functional level, you just want to improve your life, like your area of your life, such as career, relationships. Coaching is
Mhm.
really good. Like it's a really good fit for you.
I love that. Now, so talk to us about some tips on how we can get present. Because right now people are like, oh, we lost time with the pandemic and what's next year going to look like? And, they're kind of stuck in that first announcement of coronavirus and lockdown. And some places have, they're not wearing masks. Some of them
Mhm.
are. Some places are still locked down. But just that mindset of being present. What are some things that we can do to kind of get in that space?
A few tips that I give my clients to this one is really important. Just being aware of your thoughts, what you're thinking. I think a lot of us, like humans, we don't really evaluate what we are thinking. What a
Mm,
human thinks 60,000 thoughts a day, and we don't know what those 60,000 thoughts are because we are so in autopilot mode. We're just like
mhm,
doing whatever the brain tells us to do. So just bringing that consciousness awareness, like what are you thinking? Is it serving
mhm,
you? So making that choice, that intentional choice to evaluate, like one thought, just grab one thought, write it on a piece of paper and just evaluate it. What is it doing in your life? Is it serving you? Is if it's about a
mhm,
person, it's about your life, is it about coronavirus? What is it about? Is it serving you? Then the second step is just when once you have that awareness, just after the evaluation, you choosing what do you want to think about this situation, knowing that you can
mm,
control. So like
mhm,
coronavirus, I usually tell my clients like coronavirus is a circumstance. We have no control over it. We only have the control how we are going to respond to it. How we choose
mhm,
to respond is what's going to serve us.
mhm,
So another thing you mentioned here is a lot of people are saying what's going to happen next year. So when
mhm,
we start looking like what's going to happen next year, we're like way too ahead in the future. And making decisions from the future is a good thing. But when we're looking too much in the future, it's going to cause a lot of anxiety. So just
mm,
looking in the future and the past doesn't help us in the living in the present moment. You
mhm,
just want to look in the present moment and make decisions. You don't know what the year looks like right now, and it's just going to cause anxiety if you start thinking about it. So just being aware of that being like aware of that next year is going to come and I'm going to figure it out as it comes, instead of
mhm,
like having plans ahead. Planning is good. I'm not saying planning is bad. It's good, but
mhm.
choosing what serves you, like what kind of plan serves you. Yeah.
That's good. Now, so that brings up a good point because a lot of people have had this time to kind of reflect and think, and they want to kind of be more intentional. So, how should we be mapping out our goals or plans? Let's say somebody who hasn't been doing it at all, they've been on autopilot and running here and running there. Now they have this space and this time to slow down. What would you recommend would be a positive and successful way to start planning or goal setting? What would that look like?
I think I would suggest just make a decision. So let's say if you,
Mhm,
first of all, just make a decision that there's something you want to work on in the time you have now. Once
mhm,
you've decided it, there's something you want to work on. You sit down, you rewrite all the goals you have. So I call it like a to-do list, like a dump. You just basically dump everything you want to do on the list.
mhm,
Then this is what I do in my practice too. You start scheduling everything. So everything that's
mm,
on that list, you start putting on the calendar on each day. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a tedious work, but it's so worth it. And that to-do list and the to-do goal list, once you put that in the calendar everywhere, you can just get rid of the list because you know everything is now going to get done because it's on
mm,
the calendar and all you have to do is just obey the calendar. And that's where the time management and mindset comes in. A lot of
mhm,
times, like when it's time to do work on that goal, you don't want to do it because that's just how our brains are. Like we don't want to do it. And then
mhm,
comes that intentional choice. It's on my calendar. I'm just gonna follow my calendar because you are your boss. You're the boss of the calendar. So you put it
I
there, and then now you wanna just follow the calendar. And I think the main thing is just to deciding this is what serves you, this is what you want to do. You're just one decision
Mhm.
away. And I think a lot of us just like get stuck in indecisiveness, and that's where we
Mhm.
lose a lot of time.
Mhm.
Just making that decision that this is the goal you want to work on and scheduling it, it's done. It's
I
gonna get
love that.
done.
Yeah, I love that. And so one of the things that help you with that is putting it on the calendar, you're saying, because is really a thing for a lot of people. It's like, oh, I need to do my post on LinkedIn. I'll just do it in an hour. Oh, I'll do it in the morning and all that. And so we keep procrastinating or doing something else in spite of doing that. So that
Yeah.
decisiveness is good.
Yeah, I think like when I'm saying this, having a coach really helps you, because there's a lot of mindset drama that comes in when you're trying to
Hmm.
work on a goal. That's where the coach really helps you work on your mindset, build strategies that you can stick and be intentional with your goals.
That's good. That's good. Now, so for somebody who is kind of shy, hasn't really admitted or felt comfortable sharing what their weaknesses are, what would you recommend for them when it comes to getting a coach? Because a
Mhm.
lot of people are like, oh, I just feel like this might be a weakness, or why can't I get this done by myself?
Mhm. This is a really actually good question, because when you're shy and you're like you don't want to talk to someone and share this stuff, you have to evaluate that thought. Like, do you?
Mhm.
And I also think when someone comes to me in the coaching session, I see that they're ready to change their lives. They see that change. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking like, tell me if this resonates with you at all or not, because I want to answer this question to the best of my abilities. Like, um, being shy and not knowing if you want to share your stuff with a coach or someone, a safe space, um,
Mhm.
then do you really want to change? If you do want to change,
Right.
you have to take that action, because
Yeah.
you can't be like in two places. You can't say I'm shy, but I don't want to share, but yet you're like, I want to see change in my life, and you're again one decision away from that change. And
Mm.
I want to say this, like, um, being confident, being shy, and all these things, like feelings, come from
Mhm.
our thoughts. So what are you thinking?
Mm.
So that thought, like, I don't want to share with the coach, is it serving that thought, is it serving you? If you do
Mhm.
want a change in your life, how else can you think differently? Because that thought is not serving you. So it's about evaluating your thoughts and making that decision if you want the change. And again, the people who show up in my practice want the change in their lives.
I love that.
I can't tell someone that you should go for coaching, because they might not even be ready mentally for it. So I
Mhm.
really like want to coach people, and I recommend people when they are ready to be coached, because that's
Mhm.
when you see the changes in your life.
I love that. And, that totally resonates with me because, I think it's all about, it's like an athlete. An athlete
Yeah.
doesn't go to practice expecting the coach to do everything. They know the work that they have to do and they seek that guidance and they come ready to play to the best of their ability rather than,
Yeah.
I don't know why some people think coaching is some formula for it being done for them sometimes.
Mm. Yeah, like I give all the credit to my clients. They do the work. They
Mhm.
show up. They are so open. I hold the space for them. I give them the safe space to be able
Mhm.
to share whatever they have on their minds, and they don't have a comfortable or a safe space. So that's
Mhm.
my part, but they do all the work. They do all the work, and I give them
Mhm.
full credit for making the change in their life.
Love that. Love that. So, what do you do in your daily routine that helps you to stay focused and grounded? Because a lot of people don't realize how much a coach pours out to other people. So,
Mm,
you definitely can't pour out from an empty cup. I've learned that the hard way. So,
yeah.
what do you do to keep your cup filled, so to speak?
Yeah, so for this, for every, it looks different to everybody. For me
Mhm.
personally, I start my day with prayer, because I think prayer really keeps me focused. And I really pray for my clients, like for me to, for God to use me to serve other people in their life. So that number one, that's my number one thing. I do
Mhm.
a lot of reading. I do a lot of like listening, just like getting like doing the proper credit certification, getting the knowledge to be able to help my clients and my serve my clients in the best way. So there, that's a lot of that. There's a lot of
Mhm.
that, and I think the number one tool a coach can do is they have a like they have a responsibility using the coaching tools in their own life,
Mhm.
seeing the change in their own life, then mixing it up with their own experience, the knowledge and the life experience they have, and you bring it in their own practice. So I use coaching tools every day, and I've seen massive changes in my life. So that keeps me grounded. And like was telling you about the calendar, scheduling things, obeying my calendar really helps me like stay focused and get things done. Knowing how much social media we're around and like the technology we're around, so it really keeps me focused and get things done.
I love that. And so, it sounds like systems, which I love because, people think, well, if you're a coach, you have it all together, you don't have any issues. Your life is going around smoothly, you're helping other people. So I love systems because when things get kind of crazy, it keeps me in line for what, there's some things that are running automatically behind the scenes.
Right. And I do want to mention this to you. There, you are right. There are a lot of people who think a life coach has everything together. Life coaches are still human beings, just like everyone else. I still have relationship things that I have to work on every day. I still have my own personal development that I have to work on. I still have
Mhm.
like, I have a lot of failures. Like I fail every day in my business, sometimes in my personal life. Like I have
Mhm.
the same issues like everyone does. Every client that comes to my practice, same, going through the similar thing that I have, and I share my own experiences with them. So life coach goes through all them. The only thing is that I just have made that intentional choice to make the changes in my life that serve me and manage my mind in
Mhm.
a way that serves me to be able to live. So life is supposed to be 50-50, like 50% happiness, 50% sadness. I try to make it an 80-20. Like, so 80% 50% of the time I'm happy, and then the rest 30% I'm just trying to manage my negativity around a
Mhm.
lot.
Mhm.
So it's just managing your mind, I think, that serves you.
I love that. Now, so that's great tips because oftentimes people who feel like, well, people have told me that I would make a good coach. And then
Mhm.
they look at their own life and they say, well, I can't do it because I don't have everything together. So, what
Mm.
advice would you give them about that?
Oh, wow. This is such a good one. Like, you don't need to have everything together. This
Mm-hmm.
is where you can relate to your client because you don't have everything together. And
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes don't have everything together, but it's so easy when you're going through that phase of your life where you don't have everything together. When your
Mm-hmm.
client comes to you in the session, you're able to relate so much and like hold space for them because you know you've gone through that. And being able to coach them from the space, from a clean space that's going to serve your client and help
Mm-hmm.
them create the life they want. So you don't need to have everything together. All you have to do is just start coaching and start helping people because there are a lot of people that need help, and they need help. And if you have the expertise and the knowledge to be able to help them do it, make the decision.
That's good. I love that. I mean, what I'm hearing is it's not about us. It's about
Hmm.
the client, and so
Yeah,
often we're like, oh, I don't want to do this Facebook Live. Everybody's watching me, but it's about the message that you're sharing. So I
exactly. Yeah.
totally get that. So what are some books that you would recommend or podcasts that really speak to you regarding, what you do?
So this number favorite one, my favorite one is the Life Coach School podcast. It's on YouTube everywhere. Brooke Castillo ones. I love her. Like
Okay.
I really resonate with the stuff she says, like the
Mm-hmm.
information she provides. I really love her podcast. I also love the book I read these days is the Laser Focused Coaching.
Mm. Okay.
Um, I should figure out the author's name. I don't know. I just started. It was recommended to me by a friend. It's a really good tool for my own practice just to be able to connect with my client in the coaching practice. So I
Mm-hmm.
read that a lot. But Brooks' books are really good too with coaching. I read
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that. So there's a lot of material from the Life Coach School that I focus on just because I think I resonate with it easily, and they do a lot of thought work. And
Mm-hmm.
thoughts are like thought is where our power is usually.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I love that. And so, thoughts are good because, you change. Somebody said, you change the way you think, you change your world or something. So
Yes.
I love that. So what are some things that you do when it comes to reading and listening to podcasts? Because a lot of people do the same thing. Oh, I want to listen to Brooke's podcast, and then I want to get that book. I want to get this book. And they begin to have all this information, but there's a disconnect with their life changing. So, what is it that you think is the catalyst for getting the information and then getting results that you want?
Oh wow, this is a really actually good question because I was reading in a book and this came up actually. Brooke talks about in a podcast too. So a lot of people they like to gather a lot of books in their houses and they like to read
Mhm.
a lot and podcast. And that's one thing I don't do. I just like to stick on one thing, read it, and then create something with it. So we call it is a passive action. We take a lot of passive action. So basically, like consuming all day, consuming, trying to consume everything we can because we want to learn a lot. And
Mhm.
instead of we don't do that, it's called massive action. We don't take that action that changes everything that
Mhm.
ends up helping us create the results we want. So massive action is the action you need to take after you've consumed a book or like after you have enough knowledge and go get out there and create the results.
Love that. So now, for somebody who is seeking to take that action,
Mm-hmm.
what recommendations would you give? Because there's some people that are like, oh, I want to play piano, and they just think they're going to play some classical, music after a week or so.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have our expectations like way up here, and we haven't even done this thing before. So, what are some realistic things that we can plan for ourselves when it comes to taking that action? Because you say massive, that just sounds like very, that's going to move the needle forward. But what does that look like from somebody who has got this information?
Mm-hmm. For like, so tell me if this, I want to answer it in a best way, but what I think here is that a lot of times, let's say we want to build a business, we want to like
Mm-hmm.
whatever we want to do,
Mm-hmm.
we are so afraid of how we are going to do it that we don't even take that basic
Mm-hmm.
step because we are just so scared of how we are going to do it. So I tell my
Mm-hmm.
clients this a lot in my practice. Don't worry about the how, just make the decision and take the basic things. So just do whatever you like, the first step. So I think in the end we are looking at the biggest picture of what the
Mm-hmm.
big picture is gonna look like, that we don't even take the small steps. So to break the big rock, I always say if you want to break that big rock, you gotta start small from the small rocks instead of just
Mm-hmm.
aiming for that big rock. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
small steps are usually called the massive actions because we might think the massive action is a big action, but the massive action could be the tiniest action that you take and that moves you towards the direction you want to go.
I love that because, it's about that momentum. So
Mm-hmm.
once you get started, that's really what drives the train to build the momentum is one step, the next step, and then just keep on going, you
Right.
know. So it's a chain of events. So I love this. This has been a great conversation. So what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is by email. You can email me. My email is mail
Hmm.
to Roma Zafar. So
Hmm.
do you think you can give it out to them later, like mail to
Yes.
romazafar@gmail.com?
Hmm.
And then my website, www.romazafar.com.
Hmm.
So you can get a hold of me from there. But email would be the best way to get a hold of me if you would like to. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Now, so talk to us about, as we wrap this up, what are some final thoughts that you would share with people who maybe they need a coach, or you want to leave a mindset tip or anything, whatever's on your heart to kind of share with the audience as we close out.
Oh yeah, that's thanks for letting me do this. Like I just want to tell like people like if you're struggling in life, if you think that you need a coach or even a therapist, whichever like one you want, like whichever one you think is the best fit, or even try both, whatever works for you, go
Mhm.
for it. Because I have gone through that struggle in my life where I didn't put my emotional health first, and it's not a
Mhm.
great place to be because you physically feel sick too, in your body. And it's so important to, because your mind and your body is so connected. And I just want to say, put your health top priority, and make that decision to see a coach or a therapist. You're not going to regret, and this is going to be the best decision you're going to make for yourself. Number two, I think I want to say is awareness. Try to be aware of what you're thinking. Awareness has changed my life. Until I saw a coach, I didn't even know awareness existed. I did like in relationships and my own business, like awareness is so important to acknowledge and to evaluate what you're thinking instead of just thinking and doing. Yeah, I think that's like awareness is the game changer for me. So those are my tips. Yeah.
Yeah, now you brought up a good point, and because we're talking about relationships. So when you have that awareness, what's the best way to resolve that with a relationship? If you become aware of something, and sometimes not everybody sees everything the same. They may not have that same awareness. So what is a practical step that we can use in correcting that, or bringing some kind of resolution to that?
Yeah. So this one is like, this is one thing. Like, so my relationship with you is my thoughts about you. So people don't realize that the relationship you have with someone is your thoughts about them. So you got to evaluate what you're thinking about that person. And
good.
And that person doesn't feel love or hate, whatever you're thinking about them or feeling about them, you get to feel it in your body. So that's why I brought this awareness. Like, if you're aware of what you're thinking about the person you are sharing the relationship with, how is it helping you? And I understand what you were saying, like everybody's awareness level is different. But let's say like right now I'm having this conversation with you and I'm like just saying what I want to and not being aware. And then later on, I go home and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. So that awareness really helps you to be yourself and true self. So let's say somebody asks you or something and you wanted to say no and you say yes. It's probably because you were not aware of what you're saying. And it's probably like, so just that bringing that awareness that, okay, just a little chat with yourself. I think I don't want to do this. And just being your true self, showing up truthfully and honestly, it's a no, because you were aware. Just so that awareness in that relationship has really helped me, having good conversations with people and choosing conversations that serve me.
I love that. And, that is just a way to really take that accountability, and you have that self-awareness, which can minimize any kind of conflict because you're speaking in your truth and you're aware of that, which can help with any dialogue or any kind of interaction.
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, this has just been a great interview. So I want to thank you so much for coming on, and look forward to more collaborations in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it.
This was awesome. So we want to thank you guys for watching us today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Roma. And if you have any questions that you want to put in the comments, feel free to do that, and we will forward those to her so that she can answer them for you. But in the meantime, we want to thank you guys so much for watching. And if something in this interview resonated, or somebody who could really benefit from its content, share it. Just share it with somebody so that they can have an aha moment that may be a catalyst to change their whole world. So we want to thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you.